What's good, everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about a update for the Nintendo Switch 2, and this one is pretty substantial as Nintendo has stayed incredibly tight-lipped on what they're going to be doing for this next generation platform. Nintendo has a breakaway, runaway success with the Nintendo Switch, and many Nintendo fans feel that the Nintendo Switch is the best Nintendo system of all time, and it's kind of hard to argue with that considering that the Nintendo Switch just has so many different games, so many critically acclaimed games, and in its 6th/7th year is putting up some of the best numbered wise in terms of Metacritic rating games of any platform out there, with games with The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and Pikmin 4. But we are going to move on to this right here when it comes to Nintendo Switch 2 and some extra bits of information that we are getting. Now, before we get into that though, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, and click that notification bell to get my videos first on Nintendo Switch 2, RPGs, and more. Now let's go ahead and jump right into this here. This is from Notebook Check with the beat on this one, but there is a variety of different sources that are linked here. I'll have everything in the description for you so you guys can check it out as well. So Notebook Check says that Nintendo Switch 2 release date area strongly hinted at in a third-party forecast for PixArt imaging. So not that long ago, an article published by Money DJ talked about Foxconn's business, in which the item stating that Nintendo was planning on releasing its Switch successor in the first quarter of 2024. Now a new financial report from the same source has been discussing another one of Nintendo's frequent business partners. This is PixArt imaging. The intriguing thing about the Switch 2 observers is the machine translated as this. Quote, however, it is worth noting that the supply chain pointed out that the Japanese game machine will be launched early next year, which has been absent for many years. The game machine is also one of the key customers of PixArt. So all of this in a nutshell here is that the article is stating that PixArt has generally had a good business year in 2023, with a boost coming from AI developments. Now, with 2024 on the horizon, it could be just as fruitful and just as big with a, quote, Japanese game machine helping things go along. While this doesn't specifically name Nintendo or the Switch in there, it's likely an allusion to what is commonly called the Nintendo Switch 2 or next generation Switch console. Now, PixArt has worked with Nintendo on numerous occasions, including the Wii and the OG Switch. The company specializes in CMOS image sensor SoCs and is probably partially or wholly responsible for the motion camera sensor found in the bottom of the Nintendo Switch Joy-Con. Naturally, Nintendo would want to work with a reliable partner on the Nintendo Switch 2, so PixArt would likely be a part of this. Now, while you could state here, and this is what Notebook Check says, the Japanese game machine could also be something to do with the PlayStation 5, its latest related hardware. The Project Q handheld is expected to arrive later this year or early next year. Interestingly, the reporter states that the information comes from the supply chain, giving one of the firmest pointers so far of the Nintendo Switch 2 release date falling in early 2024. So this is something that I want to discuss because I feel that 2024 for the Nintendo Switch 2 is probably going to be an accurate year. I think that the first half of 2024 is probably going to be a really good release window for the Nintendo Switch 2. I think that Nintendo has such momentum with the standard Nintendo Switch. I think they can literally roll this into the next generation and not really skip a beat too much. Now, I know that Nintendo and Furukawa, they are incredibly focused and honed in on making sure that they nail the launch. Nintendo has had a rough few launches. If you go all the way back, you look at it, it's been rough. Outside of the Wii, every single console or portable launch has been a little bit stagnant out of the gate because of the lack of games, or because of the marketing, or because of something that kind of comes into play here. Even with a monster like the Nintendo DS that didn't start out super hot, it really picked up steam after the revision with the DS Lite, and the game started coming a bit more. Some of the big casual hits like Nintendogs and everything. So Nintendo needs to make sure that they nail this launch like they nailed the Nintendo Wii and like they nailed the Nintendo Switch. Those were the two for them that they've had over the last number of years or decades where they really got things right. And I think that's what they're doing here. They have the Nintendo Switch, which is incredibly popular, that games are still coming out for. They can get this new system, get everything ready, get the marketing straight, get the game straight, get everything that they need. They can announce the new system. They can have a relatively short marketing period where they really blitz you with what this system's about, how it's a successor, how it's the next Switch, it's the next thing, have backwards compatibility, have all the different features laid out, do what you need to do because you have that successful system, the Nintendo Switch. You can build off that. I don't think Nintendo's going to be hitting the reset button here. I don't think that they're going to be doing something drastically different from what they've done before. I do think that there's going to be a number of new ideas and of course new games, but I think that Furukawa, Kimishima, Takahashi, the people that are in charge right now of Nintendo are absolutely not as eccentric and as crazy when it comes to certain ideas of what Nintendo did in the past with the Iwata era and the Miyamoto era in terms of how they were really dictating how the hardware was going to go in that Blue Ocean strategy phase. Now, Nintendo still has that in terms of Blue Ocean getting more people in, but that's more in the software line because they already have an evergreen Blue Ocean strategy, and that strategy is portable and home console put together. Nintendo has always had a phenomenal and strong portable line of systems. Well, now you have the technology to actually build a real hybrid, a console and a portable built together, combined with a dock to simulate that experience of having a portable game machine while also having the power to have console level games too. So I do feel that Nintendo is going to try to really push that. That is their big goal. That is what they're doing here, but they have to make sure that they get it right with the games. That new Mario Kart, new 3D Mario game, something like that needs to be at launch or very near launch, and then of course have a rollout of great games. Monolith Soft's next title, their next big game, stuff like that would be great as well. Also ports from third-party companies, you got to fill that in. I think that with the Nintendo Switch 2, you're going to see a lot more. And I've been hearing a few things here and there about a lot of these games from Japanese developers that skipped the Nintendo Switch, that maybe they were looking at porting to the Switch late in its life. A lot of those games have maybe been moved over to the Nintendo Switch 2. So maybe we see big games like Tales of Arise or Scarlet Nexus from Bandai Namco. There could be more titles in the works as well. Japanese publishers were not initially on board with the Nintendo Switch, and a lot of them paid the price early as there was a lot of money to be made. I went to Nippon Ichi and went to Ubisoft and went to some of these companies that had early 2017 Nintendo Switch games out there. A lot of games did really well in that first, second, third year when it comes to third party and throughout the life of the Nintendo Switch, but it was absolutely a missed opportunity for them as you'll never get those years back and they had to wait. Bandai Namco in particular not having a lot of games ready and having to frantically port over stuff like Naruto and Dragon Ball Z over to the system. So I do think that things are going to be a bit different this time around with the Nintendo Switch 2. Nintendo has a solid plan for this system, but we're going to have to wait and see. I do think that the system could be announced at the very end of this year, but I don't think it's going to happen just based off the software that's coming out, like the Super Mario Bros. Wonder game, Super Mario RPG. Those games are going to be pretty big for the Switch. I'm pretty sure Nintendo's going to have their Switch bundle as well. The OLED is doing incredibly well. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is continuing to carry the system, and surprise, Pikmin 4 is doing really, really good when it comes down to another strong game to add to the lineup. But we could get an announcement. There's a possibility, there's a chance, but something tells me that Nintendo's going to want to go like with a blitz of news and a short time period from when they announce the system and then when the system is released. Now, the Nintendo Switch was really short with that. It was officially revealed in October. Yes, they did say 2015 with Mr. Iwata, the late great Mr. Iwata. He did say, hey, we have this NX, but that was just so they can ease fears of them not getting out of the console business because of it. Officially, when it comes down to when they wanted to talk about it, that was October 2016, and then it launched in March. So there really wasn't a lot of time in between. We could see a similar or even shorter window with an announcement in early 2024, and then a release in spring 2024 or summer or something like that. Looks like it's shaken out to be right around that way, but it's going to be interesting nonetheless to see exactly how it happens. But speaking of some big other news as well, I do want to talk about this, not necessarily a video game, but something based off a video game, and that is Castlevania the Netflix series. There is more coming back. Castlevania Nocturne animated series hits Netflix on September 28th. For those who don't know, I am a huge Castlevania fan, and I do feel that Castlevania is coming back. I do think that Konami for Castlevania, now we're going on multiple years of this Castlevania Netflix show being extremely well done, but now we have Richter joining the fray. So Netflix has announced the Castlevania Nocturne animated series will release on the streaming service on September 28th. Quote, the series is led by showrunner Kevin Claude and the creator-writer Clive Bradley and the producer by the Project 51 Productions, with production services provided by Powerhouse Animation. Reads the description of the animated series. Now, Castlevania Nocturne follows Richter, a descendant of the Belmont family, popularized in the iconic Symphony of the Night and Rondo Castlevania games, in addition to Super Smash Bros. You cannot discount the popularity bump that Simon and Richter Belmont got from Super Smash Bros., a game that is pretty much outsold all the Castlevania games combined very easily and then some. So the fact that Richter Belmont is in Super Smash Bros. Is huge at this point, right? It's really big because some of the younger audience and everything are like, okay, there's this guy from Smash Bros. And he has his own games as well, so maybe they'll look into it, or they've been looking into it and playing it. I know that it renewed my interest in going back and playing Symphony of the Night and Rondo of Blood Castlevania games as well. So for me, it's one of those things to where I'm really excited about this. That's why I wanted to talk about it. I think it's a big deal, and it could parlay into exactly what Konami is going to do with the next big Castlevania game, because I think that there has to be something. There's already been tons of rumors. We've heard about different potential possible announcement dates, when they're going to do with it. It seems like it's been in the works for a while. I know Nate from Direct Feed Games and Nate the Hate has talked about there is something cooking up for Castlevania. So I'm really hoping that this does turn out to be the year of Castlevania, as well as we get this incredible Netflix Castlevania Nocturne series. When it comes to it, Richter Belmont is obviously an incredible protagonist, but then we also get something on the Castlevania front when it comes to a traditional 2D Metroid Dread style of Castlevania game. The blueprint is there. We see it all over the industry. Games like Sonic Superstars are coming back. We have games like Super Mario Bros. Wonder, this incredible 2D graphics with these 3D models and incredible backgrounds. It's been done so well over the past number of years. Metroid Dread was kind of a spark plug for it, in addition to many other games. Titles like Hollow Knight have been great as well. We also have the Prince of Persia game coming out early 2024. So I think that this is the time to strike, if there ever was a time, and I think that we are going to see that with Castlevania. So some big news on Castlevania could be dropping very soon here. We're going to have to wait and see exactly how it works out though. But please, Konami, can you guys put the Symphony of the Night game and the Rondo of Blood game on the Nintendo Switch? We got that one collection, we got the Game Boy Advance collection. Thank you for all that, but we need the rest of those. People bought those on the Nintendo Switch, so I'm pretty sure there's going to be a plan for those titles as well. But that's going to wrap it up for this one here, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you check out some of my other videos right here on screen where I talk about the latest RPG and also Nintendo Switch news. Also, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and we will see you for the next video. Peace.